Hi there. This is a video to let everybody know that I will be starting the next cohort of the compassion-focused therapy group for hoarding and cluttering through my practice, the San Francisco Center for Compassion-Focused Therapies, very soon. So we've been doing this group since 2017. And so it's been many cohorts since then. And so this group is open to people who are adults and who experience hoarding and cluttering issues in California, in the state of California. So let me share a little bit more about the group. So this is a pretty in-depth group. It will be 20 weekly sessions, and each session is 2 hours long. And we're doing this online through Zoom. So wherever you are in the state of California, if you have stable Wi-Fi to join us, this will be for you to join us from the comfort of your home. So the treatment will be looking like we will go through some of the psychoeducation that's in the compassion-focused therapy model. So how is this different from what people may be more familiar, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy? So with the compassion-focused therapy model, we are not just focusing on what we think, our beliefs, and our thoughts. Actually, we are more diving into how we feel and where our feelings came from. So, give you an example. So, you may think, oh, if I think the right thoughts, then I will feel differently about letting go. While that can be true for some people sometimes, sometimes we also we think about something, but we don't feel it. For example, we need to think, oh, it's okay if I haven't used it for such length of time that it doesn't matter to me, I can let it go. We may think it, but we feel differently. We know what to think, but we still feel very anxious and very reluctant to let go of items. So that's where CFT come in, compassion focused therapy. So we are going to be looking into the mechanism of your brain as a human being and in your emotion regulation systems so that we get to know, oh, how is it like to be a human, to have this complexity kind of brain that gets into this fight or flight kind of state. And when we are in fight or flight, it makes us feel a certain way. And so how do we regulate that emotional system so that we find more safeness, more openness, and therefore we may be more flexible in considering things, thoughts, behaviors that we don't consider before, such as letting go. So that's one big aspect of what these 20-week sessions are going to entail. And another aspect is that we are going to address our intrapersonal relationships. So a lot of us may experience a lot of very self-critical thoughts, whether it has specifically to do with the hoarding situation or it's more general. We are just more critical to ourselves to the extent we shut down. Or sometimes we call it procrastination. But guess what? A lot of the procrastination is because we are mentally shut down just by the internal critical voices or a lot of shame that we are feeling. So another emphasis of this group is about how we address the critical voice in us and how do we then cultivate a more compassionate, more encouraging voices that actually guide us along. Now, whenever I say compassion, sometimes people think, oh yeah, you're trying to get us to be nicer to ourselves so that we can like get ourselves out of the hook, or I don't hold myself accountable anymore because I'm so compassionate. Well, that's actually a misunderstanding, a very common misunderstanding about the word compassion. So, by compassion, at least in this context of compassion focused therapy, we actually mean that we are going to cultivate the kind of courage and the kind of wisdom to face our difficulties head on. So instead of running away and say, oh, it's too hard, you have a long day already, why don't you just turn on the TV and do the things tomorrow? Well, that can feel quote unquote nice, but it's actually not compassionate. So compassion is about building up the emotional muscles and building up some kind of encouraging internal space in you so that you can face things that you tend to run away from. That is compassion, because the compassionate part in you wants a more spacious living circumstances and space for you. So we're going to build that. And another part about this is interpersonal connections. So a lot of times folks experiencing hoarding have suffered isolation. And this may not mean that people have no friend. In fact, a lot of our folks have a lot of friends. But how do we become open and more vulnerable in our existing or new relationships that we are going to have, so that we can get a comfort that our heart needs, so that we are not getting comfort from physical possessions, right? So that's kind of like in a nutshell what these 20 weeks process is gonna look like. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us, and we'll put our contact information in the comments below. And so we have many folks who join these groups, and oftentimes we find that for people who are fresh, never had any treatment for hoarding, they enter the group and kind of halfway through or toward the end, they are starting to put their hands on letting go of possessions. And this is kind of like an ongoing journey that we want to and make the support available to people who are in the state of California. And so a lot of times our folks repeat the groups, and then they find that every time they do it, there's a newer layer of healing that happens. So if this resonates with you, join us. And I look forward to meeting you and working with you in the next group.